In this episode of An American Entrepreneur, we're going to meet a gentleman that bought a small mom and pop style Italian restaurant about 3 years ago in Arlington, Texas. He's going to share with us his experiences, especially post-COVID. So come on and join me. I think he's got a lot of really interesting information to share, regardless of the industry you're in. Hey Larry, how are you?
Hey, how's it going?
So introduce yourself and your business.
Hi, my name's Larry Shaw. I own Nino's Pasta Pizza and Subs. It's a mom and pop pizza place. We're full service dine-in, delivery, takeout. It's been here for 30 years. I purchased it about 3 years ago from the original owner.
So how did you get into this business, Larry?
So when this place was originally opened in 1992 by two brothers, Nino and Dino, they started this thing off after working for their family for several years. So about 11 years, I think they were in the pizza business in Brooklyn and then in Dallas before they moved here and opened this place. They opened it up in February of 92 and they hired me in March of 92. I worked for them as a dishwasher as a young kid. It's one of my first jobs, and ended up working for these guys off and on for about 12 years. I came back at the end of a long IT career and wanted to do something else with my life, and last brother was left here, Dino, and he had been trying to sell the place for several years and hadn't found a buyer yet, and I was looking for something new to do with my life.
So that's how you were inspired, I guess? You
Yes.
were looking for something new to do?
Yep, I loved this place growing up. My kids love this place. They grew up in and out of here, you know, and
This same location?
this same location, and I couldn't see it go to a stranger.
Well, describe this restaurant here as far as the concept.
So it is a full service. We don't have a bar, but we do, like I said, we do dine in, we do take out, we do delivery. We focus heavily on pasta, but we do sell a lot of pizza too.
So I noticed the name is Nino's Pasta and Pizza. What's the biggest percentage of your revenue? Is it from pizza or pasta, or tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so these days we actually are selling more pizza. We're probably about 70-30 pizza, pasta. It's a popular dish, you know. There's other concepts in the area that we have competition now, where when we originally opened this place in 92, we were about the only restaurant around here. There was a Taco Bell up the street, and nothing else near here within about 2-3 miles.
As far as being a full-service restaurant dine-in, are you mostly carry-out or dine-in? And what percentage are you carry-out and dine-in, shall I
Yeah,
say?
our dine-in is a very, very small percentage of our business these days. When we originally opened, that was really our bread and butter. We literally would have this place full. There were 5 more tables in here than what we had. We had put a divider in the middle of the room even because we had so much of our business coming from local businesses. Just east of us, there were several office complexes and high-rises that were full, and a lot of the businesses moved out. The area is significantly older now. People are looking for newer, fresher, you know, more trendy, I guess, I don't know, places to locate their staff now, and so we've seen a significant drop-off in the amount of dine-in that we had. We still have a very heavy, very strong delivery and takeout, but yeah, it's probably 10% of our business is dine-in, and it is the more expensive way to earn a living in a restaurant. It really, honestly,
You've got so much more lease space.
Yes, you're paying for a lot of space that's not getting used necessarily. You've got to pay staff to be able to take care of the customers. You're running back and forth. You know, it's additional lighting, additional cooling, the tables and the chairs, the condiments. Whereas on a takeout, you don't have all of that. There is some cost with packaging, but it's a lot cheaper to give someone a to-go plate, you know, and some silverware than it is to pay someone to come out, take an order, come back, get drinks, come back, you know, back and forth.
And
It is-
competing
Yes.
with your takeout restaurants.
yes,
They can
yes.
probably even sell pizza a little cheaper than you.
Yes, most definitely.
Well, in buying a business, what advice would you give someone that's thinking about buying an existing business? Because me as a CPA, I know that can be more risky actually than opening a business yourself.
You definitely want to do your due diligence. Before I bought this place, I had about 6 months where I was working with the owner, watching the flow of his business. I'd come in at different times of the day just to see what kind of a crowd he had for dining, see how much business was going across the counter as a takeout, and see how many deliveries he was getting in and out the door. And this was before I looked at any of his sales numbers. I had put together a business model. I spent about 2 weeks, honestly, going through everything that I could think of that it was going to cost me to run this place on a weekly basis. The biggest piece of advice I can give right off the bat is if you have some capital pulled together, get some more. It's going to cost you a lot more than what you think. And even with an existing business that has existing customers, you already know you're coming into something where people are going to be coming in and out the door, the day you open the door. Assume that it's going to be less than what you think it is, because it will be.
If you were to open let's just say pizza, pasta.
Yep.
If you were to do it all over again, would you just do maybe a takeout only?
Yeah, I would.
What kind of investment would that take? I guess the biggest investment would be your stove and maybe your refrigeration.
If you're starting brand new with something full service like this, where if you're just doing pizza, it'll be significantly less expensive than doing pasta. The food cost on pasta is right around 40 to 60%.
Really?
It's ridiculous. Pizza, it's right around about 5 or 6%. It really, honestly,
The margins are really high on
oh
pizzas.
yeah, they really are. You will make a ton of money if you only do pizza, as long as you make a good product. Advertise at some. I would say that we've tried several different types of advertisement. We did Facebook, we did Yelp, we did. I haven't done Google yet. We did mailers one time, but the biggest return on our investment, hands down, putting flyers in people's doors, passing out paper menus. Here? Yes, and we did that the first year and a half, the first 6 months that I had the place. We did that every week, twice a week. We would hit one complex, 2 complexes, 3 complexes. I think we covered 5 a week, 4 a week initially, and we just rotated them through everything that was within our. We hit our close delivery range first, the ones that are right here, right around up and down this street, and then we moved out to about 3 miles, and we hit every single apartment complex around here. I actually personally walked through this neighborhood behind us, and the neighborhoods right to the west of us and right to the south of us.
What did your flyers say on it? Did it say something like a special 20% off, buy one get one free? What did your flyers say?
We took our existing menu, the flyers that he was doing then. We redesigned them a little bit. We did put some specials on there, but by and large it was our menu. When I initially bought the place, I brought in delivery drivers. We kept that same model with Uber and DoorDash briefly. I found that their drivers they're not trained. They don't understand how to handle food. They're not reliable. They show up very late.
And then they leave a review about you.
Yes, and sometimes they don't deliver the food. And again, the customer automatically assumes if there's anything wrong with the order that it wasn't the driver, it was the restaurant. So we'd end up getting a lot of bad reviews from them. I ran with that for about 3 months, and then we renegotiated with 2 of the online vendors and to have them allow me to use my staff. One of them wouldn't budge, DoorDash wouldn't budge, so we actually just dropped them completely, which was painful because it was a significant chunk of money that we lost, not having them as a vendor anymore, not having that platform out there, because they've got customers that are loyal to them, just like I do. But we ended up probably about 6-7 months ago picking them back up again, because they finally changed their business model to allow for restaurants to do self-delivery, which cuts the cost from them, their slice of it, in half. Yeah, they were charging us around 40%, and now they're charging me 12% for delivery and 5% for pickup, which is less than what any of the rest of them are. But that was after negotiating with them extensively. But I guess they really wanted to get us back, so I was happy about that.
Well, what are some of the things you've learned now that you wish you knew when you first got started? If you could just snap your finger and make a change.
I would love to have not picked up a restaurant that has dine-in. This is a huge footprint. We're 2,000 square feet. It costs a lot for the rent, and we make very little off of the dine-in. It's a lot of work to maintain this dining room and be staffed for it, and that really cuts into your profits significantly.
So if you were to start over, you would just do a delivery takeout only?
Delivery takeout only, yeah. Less staff, it's more efficient.
You think when your lease expires, you'll probably move to that model?
I believe so, yes. And like I said, I love this place. We've been here for 30 years. It's amazing, but
times change. People like to pick up now or delivery.
Yep.
So.
And and especially post Corona, we see a lot less people coming in and putting their butts in chairs. So it's what all three of the brothers that actually ended up running this place have all gone to that same model. Two of them actually have a small dining room that has 4 or 5 tables in it. But
and just in case someone wants to
exactly,
get right
yeah. Someone's on their lunch break, and yeah, exactly. And I don't see anything wrong with that. You don't really have to have a server for 4 or 5 tables. You can run out and here's your food, and run right back. The delivery pickup is your most cost-effective means of selling food. Obviously, not everybody wants to pick up. You don't have to hire delivery drivers. You can use those services, those platforms that are out there. Uber, DoorDash, Favor, Slice. Slice is something that a lot of people haven't heard of. It's specific to pizzerias and mom and pop pizzerias only. The guy that started that company he's an Albanian guy, the same as the brothers that opened this place originally. And he built that business for these restaurants specifically, and they're incredible. They're one of the best out of every company that I've worked for that delivers a service for us. Those guys are hands down 100% the best people we've worked with. And they've actually partnered with, I'm not sure, I want to say that it's DoorDash that they partnered with so that they can now provide delivery service to restaurants that don't have their own drivers. And interestingly, Tony, the youngest of the 3 brothers, just started that model 2 months ago at his place, where he no longer has delivery drivers. He's got himself, his wife, one of his sons, and a cook. So he's got 1 staff to run his whole restaurant. He does about 3.5 times the business that I do here with 1 guy.
Let me ask this question. So let's say someone wanted to open a delivery takeout only pizza business only. List the pieces of equipment they need and roughly what would it cost?
So first off, you'd want to get an oven. You have 2 choices with ovens in a pizzeria. You can either do what most people do these days, including the big chain restaurants, and get a conveyor belt oven. They're very efficient. They're very fast. Cook a pizza in about 7.5, 8 minutes through there. But in my mind, to me, the quality of it is less. It's essentially a very large hair dryer. It blows hot air onto the pizza. It does crisp the outside of it. It does cook the top of it. It doesn't do very well, though, for actually cooking the crust and making it crispy. The other option is what we have, which is either a wood-fired or gas-fired brick oven. Brick oven it brings much better quality food. You can do a lot more with it than you can with a belt oven. The problem is you can't burn food in a conveyor belt oven. It doesn't matter how many times you run a pizza through there, it will never burn it, which is awesome.
Well, how much does one of these ovens run if you bought a brand new one versus a used one? Something maybe for a small startup person.
Yeah, so a brand new oven, we've got a 42-inch deck in ours, 48-inch deck in ours. An oven that size, like what we have, is about $16,000 brand new. You can find used ones out there for around $3,000. Used, you have no guarantees with you. Really aren't going to know whether that thing's going to work, whether everything's going to fall apart in it. I suggest to people, anytime you're buying equipment, big equipment like that, buy refurbished. Unless you're getting some kind of 5-year warranty on the thing, go out and buy a refurbished oven, refurbished grill, refurbished fryers. They're half the price or less, and they work.
But beware also, if it's really old, you may not be able to get parts for them.
That is very true. Yeah, you want
Just
to
like
get
these buildings that are old that have these old elevators.
Yes.
People don't realize that it costs a fortune to service these elevators in these old buildings.
Yep. And
so this is the same concept. So I guess the oven, and what else? I guess you'd have a dough machine.
Yeah. So to do a pizza only business, you're going to have an oven. You're going to have a dough mixer. Hobart is the only way to go. There are other mixers up. That's about $9,000. Those are harder to get aftermarket. Great deals on them, refurbished. But you can find one $4,000 to $6,000 refurbished out there. The dough mixer serves several things. We buy block mozzarella and we shred it ourselves in house. We don't anymore, although in the 90s we did, and I'm thinking about possibly bringing it back. We don't shred our own Parmesan here, but we used to buy a wheel of pecorino. It's about 150 pounds of pecorino, and shred that ourselves in here, also in the dough mixer. We mix up our house dressing in the dough mixer. We make it about five gallons at a time. We make our roll dough in the dough mixer.
How about refrigeration equipment?
So in this location, we've got a walk-in cooler. You're going to have a walk-in.
How big of one? Like
probably a 9 by 9, 10 by
something?
10. Yeah, 5 by 8 would work. You're going to want some space to have at least 2 shelves in there, space to store your cheese, because you're going to keep lettuce, tomatoes, cheese, bread, your dough. Not every place keeps their dough under refrigeration. We found when we make our dough, we like to let it age for 24 hours. You can leave dough out and let it sit at room temperature for 24 hours, but it's going to be really hard to work with after that. We like to bring ours out, let it rise for about 3 or 4 hours after we've made it, put it into the cooler and let it age for at least 24 hours. We found that prior to that, there's not really any flavor in the dough. So we have a small window we get to use it in, because after 48 hours, it's trash. You really don't want to use it past that. You have the chance of, because dough is what it is, of it getting moldy, going bad. 48 to 72, somewhere right in there.
How long does it take you to actually make a pizza, excluding the dough? Just when someone orders one and you pull the dough out, you're tossing it, throw it in the oven, and it's ready to go.
Typically, it's about 8 to 10 minutes for a one topping. A Supreme, it's somewhere in the area of 12 to 14 minutes, just because of the amount of time
Cooking
it
and
takes
everything?
Cooking and everything. Now, that is because we run our oven at 600 degrees.
Larry, I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your story with us. Appreciate it a whole lot.
Thank you.
I think the biggest takeaway Larry shared with us is the fact that things change, business changes. Beyond your control, things go on, things happen, people's expectations change, their habits change, their way of life changes, and therefore it'll change your business. You've got to always be able to pivot and allow for those changes so you can have many more thriving years ahead. Check out my videos called Don't Let Change in Your Business. Although Larry is a strong, profitable business, he's going to have to make changes real soon if he's going to continue to be in business. I'm Curtis Smallberg. I hope this video added value and you enjoyed it. See you next time, and thanks for watching.